We are about to embark upon a series of strange and exciting, dangerous adventures. Adventures that will lead us to all parts of the world.
Hello and welcome to another Bad Comic Review. This time we're looking at Batman One Dark Knight Book 1. This is from DC Comics in 2021 under their Black Label imprint, which is generally their Elseworlds style. And this is an oversized book at the magazine size, and it's a $7 book. Story and art by Jock, letters by Clem Robbins. I have the regular cover by Jock, Chris Conroy editor, Marquis Draper assistant editor, and Marie Javins editor-in-chief. Now we start off with Batman doing patrol. He is escorting the Gotham City Police by air. They are transporting on the ground this guy named EMP, and he is a gang leader of sorts. And it's a sweltering night in the city. People are on edge, and a lot of the gangs are on the move. They all know that this guy's being moved from Arkham Asylum to Blackgate, and it's a controversial decision made by one of the higher-ups named Vasquez, who's in charge of the prisons, and Commissioner Gordon hates this idea, but she thinks he's being too soft on the criminals, and there's a revolving door on Arkham, so she wants him safely locked up in Blackgate where he can't do a lot of damage. There's a specialized cell there, and they need him there now. They're going to move him from Arkham Asylum, which is at the top of the city, all the way through Midtown and downtown to Blackgate Isle. But the gangs have another idea, and they want to take out not only EMP, but probably Batman as well. And when they assault the transport, things go horribly wrong, and EMP is on the loose. Now, Batman has a portable EMP device, a Faraday gimmick that will help subdue EMP, but he's not really going to make it in time. And now the result of all this is that there's a serious catastrophe in the city, and Batman has 4.6 miles to go to get to Blackgate and get this guy locked up, and every gang in the city is after him. I have to say, I was really impressed with the story. I thought it was a lot of fun. It's probably the best Batman book I've read in a while that wasn't from like 1989. Overall, fantastic story. The art style took me a little getting used to. I'm not a huge fan of it, but it's not bad. It's effective for what it is. It's just not a style I am in love with, but I don't mind it. It worked pretty well, and it took me a little while to get kind of used to it, but I liked it. I just don't think it's my favorite or anything. But the concept here is really good. It's sort of a mix between 16 Blocks with Bruce Willis and The Warriors. So I think it's got a lot of potential, and I'm absolutely going to pick up book 2. And the format really worked out because there's these great full-page panels that really kind of bring it all together, and some larger panels that work too. But there's this awesome one with Batman jumping in front of a building and the bat symbols on the building. It's amazing. That's a beautiful shot. I would get a poster of that. All in all, though, this was definitely worth the money. I didn't have any issue with that. I thought the story was fun, and I'm really looking forward to issue 2, which is surprising because it's not going to come out till February. I don't really want to wait that long, but don't really have a choice. Unfortunately, DC's schedule is kind of all over the place with some of their stuff, and they're blaming supply chain, but I'm not sure I believe that. But I am really interested to see where this one goes, much more interested than any of the regular Bat books, and I think it's got a lot of potential, so I'm going to recommend it. That'll do it for this one. Thank you so much for listening and supporting the channel. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss future reviews. If you'd like to help the channel out in other ways, links are in the description to different ways you can support me, and as always, we hope to see you on the next one. Hello and welcome to another Bad Comic Review. This time we are looking at Batman One Dark Knight Book 2. This is from DC Comics under their Black Label imprint. Story and art by Jock, letters by Clem Robbins, cover by Jock. Now this took a long time to get out because of the paper shortage, I think, but I'm really glad it did. I really like the first book, and this book picks up where it left off with Batman on the run trying to get EMP to Blackgate. He's got 3.8 miles to go and every gang member on his tail. There are easily half a dozen gangs after EMP. Most of them want him dead so they can have a turf war and take the turf that EMP had. Now things go horrible for Batman because he is running low on equipment and there are a lot more gang members than there are Batman. Unfortunately, the GCPD aren't going to be able to help too much. There is a car accident from last issue where Montoya is pretty messed up and Vasquez is supposed to help her, and she makes a decision that was pretty shocking. But Vasquez knows a lot more than she's letting on, including including she knows about EMP's son, Brody. And that kid is obviously playing an important part in this because he appears to be a metahuman. Meanwhile, Batman is slowly crawling his way across the city, and he does stick to the rail line for a little while, which does gain him pretty good distance, but he ends up getting shot, and so does Edward. Now, with EMP wounded, that's a big problem. Batman already is wounded, and now he's got a wounded EMP blaster strapped to his back because that guy is a ticking time bomb. He's even leeching off Batman's neurosynapses and draining those, so it's clouding Batman's thought. Well, we're left with a pretty stunning cliffhanger ending, and I would have to say that this came in at $7, and I didn't feel cheated for my money. The panels are often very large, which generally I hate because it shows a lazy storytelling, but because the panels are large on this larger format, because it is prestige format, this isn't stapled, so it's got the perfect binding, which makes it more like a very nice magazine with great paper. DC really has a lot of potential with this format, even though a lot of fans don't particularly like it because it's a little bit more European style and it's harder to store, but I have to say the art comes out very, very well in here, and so does the colors. The colors really, really do pop. So all around, this is a solid work. I'm not generally a giant fan of Jock's art style, but it does work here, and I have to admit I'm really impressed with this. So I'm looking forward to the conclusion issue, which is number 3, and I have it sitting here, so hopefully I will be able to have that one up soon. This is definitely a mature reader story, and it has a feel of 16 Blocks meets John Wick. So if you've seen those two movies, you probably know what I'm talking about, but it's very action oriented, and I'm real excited to read the next issue. So high recommendation, all around a fun book. That's gonna do it for this one. Thank you so much for listening and supporting the channel. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss future reviews. If you'd like to help the channel out in other ways, links are in the description to various support methods, and as always, we hope to see you on the next one. Hello and welcome to another Bad Comic Review. This time we are looking at Batman One Dark Night, issue 3. This is part of a 3-part Black Label series from DC Comics. Story and art by Jock, letters by Clem Robbins, cover by Jock, nothing listed for editors or anything like that. So Batman has had to go into the sewers to try and find EMP, but something isn't quite right when he finds him, and it turns out to be a setup by Killer Croc and his gang of miscreants that live underground. Meanwhile, Vasquez has got EMP's kid and is dragging him around in what is apparently a setup. And while Batman has to get his butt handed to him by Killer Croc for a while, the corruption in Gotham City is even further exposed. So Batman has to make his way around, and it is just a bloodbath. This is non-stop. He cannot win. And Edward sees what's going on with his kid and comes close to dropping another EMP, which also triggers Brody, his son, and it's not looking good. Vasquez gets a little carried away. Batman has to really set things up to where he stands a chance, and he is really messed up by the end of this book. But in the end, Batman manages to pull off some semblance of a win. I'm not a huge fan of this art style, but I have to say this is one of the best books on the market for Batman especially. Yeah, it was only a 3-part miniseries, but it was really, really well done. It was fun, it was exciting, there was a lot of action and adventure. Really showed what kind of person Batman is too, where he puts it all on the line for these people that, quite frankly, are kind of scumbags, and he's trying really hard to save EMP and this kid, and face down the corruption of the Gotham City Police Department as well. Not to mention all the gang members that are running around, Killer Croc, and a bunch of Morlock type people. It's amazing what Batman goes through in this storyline. And it's basically 16 Blocks meets The Warriors, so if you've seen those two movies, you get kind of an idea of the brutality and hellscape that Batman has to go through. But I really enjoyed it. I'm planning on getting this in hardcover, and the fact that it's oversized really does highlight the art style. And while it's not my favorite, I did enjoy it. Jock does understand perspective shots really well, and he seems to really understand sequential art. So there's a lot of really good action scenes in here, and it is really dynamically done. I had a great time reading this, and I'm going to highly recommend this book. I thought it was great. I didn't have a problem paying the $7 per book. The prestige format is nice. I'm not a fan of the giant magazine size that they do with these, this European formatting, but it's a bit of a mixed bag, because although I find it difficult to store these because they are floppy in a lot of ways, they do have the perfect binding so you can put it on a shelf, and it really does highlight the art quite a bit. But I prefer something a little smaller just for storage purposes. But I will definitely absolutely recommend this book. If you want some good Batman storytelling, this is it. Absolutely worth a read. That'll do it for this one. Thank you so much for listening and supporting the channel. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss future reviews. If you'd like to help the channel out in other ways, links are in the description to various support methods. And as always, we hope to see you on the next one.